Hi everyone, it's Angie from Feeling a Little Bookish. I hope everyone had a great March, and I hope everyone staying safe as well. I have 8 books on my April TBR. It's not a lot. I only signed up for, I want to say 3 arcs. And the rest are just books that I have on my Kindle or that I have actual physical copies for that I want to actually read. So, so let's dive in. The first book on my April TBR is Jagged Line Paradise by Brynn. I actually started reading this and I'm about 40% in, and it's intense. So it's centered around Avalon and Andre, who have been best friends since they were 10. They live in the same trailer park. Avalon, her mother's not the best mom. And then Andre, his dad is not the best dad. Andre's mom actually OD'd when he was 10. And so he's only been with his dad, and his dad, they had their shit together, but then his dad fell into drugs and booze and whatnot. And then with Avalon, her mom is just a mess. And so most of the time she's by herself, because her mom will disappear for days at a time. So when the book first starts, it's her 18th birthday, and her mom is not home. And so her and Andre celebrate, her birthday as usual. And that's when they basically confess their feelings for one another. It's so cute. However, something happens the next day to Avalon, and a little bit of what happens is I don't want to give away too much. Okay, so she gets kidnapped by the serial killer that's been, so far there's been 5 runaway teenage girls or prostitutes that have been killed in their area. And so she's kidnapped by the killer. And thankfully, she gets away from him, but that's not to say without a struggle. And she, was with him for days and had to go through a lot of torture. And what happened to her was just super sad and scary. And so once the killer is caught and she's safe, Andre lets her know that he actually got a full scholarship to university, and he just wants to get out of the trailer park, and he wants her to go with him, but she refuses to because this is all she's known. She's only known that trailer park as her home, and she's scared that if she were to move somewhere else that the same thing can happen to her. And that she's safer at home, although her home life isn't ideal. So anyway, 10 years later, they're back in one another's life. And where I'm at right now is he's back in their hometown to do a documentary. And he's trying to get her to speak to him about what happened to her, but she's like, no way, Jose, I'm not dealing with this. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to rehash these memories and stuff. But that's where I'm at. So we'll see what happens. And then the next book on my TBR is Diver's Heart by K.A. Knight. So K.A. Knight was the author of Den of Vipers, which was like a super popular dark romance reverse harem book from last year. This Diver's Heart is another reverse harem, but it's like a second chance. All I know from the blurb, and I signed up for it, so I'm like, this sounds really good, and I've never read a reverse harem book, so this should be interesting for me. Was the main character, she falls in love with someone named Tyler, and then when they're 17, and then she leaves or moves on, and she turns into a world-class diver, and I'm guessing something happens, but it sounds really interesting from the blurb, more than I'm making it sound interesting. Uh, and then the third book on my TBR is Fractured Rain, which is the third book in the Gravestone Elite series by Caitlyn Dare. Listen, I just need to read this book as soon as possible because I need to know if Cade is going to die and if Bexley and Mia will be together. That's all I want to know. The next book on my TBR is Unconditional by QB Tyler. So QB Tyler's a really, at least it comes across to me that she's really popular in the romance world. And this book is about, I know a lot of people have actually read this book. It's been on a lot of people's TBRs and wrap-ups and whatnot, and a lot of people have reviewed it on Goodreads as well. So it's about this girl named Maddie who is a witness to her parents' demise, and she gets has to then go, or she has to go live with the police officer that was on scene, and it's a forbidden age gap romance. So we can imagine what happens when she gets older and he's still a cop. And yeah, should be good. And so the next book, listen, I had the next book on my TBR for March, and I physically own it. I will get to it. My goal is to get to this book, which is Truly by Carmel Rhodes, and it's about Truly and Noah, who is the either the half brother or step brother of Truly's ex-boyfriend, and he's a bully, and he's like super bully. I've heard it being compared to Untouchable by Sam Mariano, which is also on my TBR for April. And so, yeah, it's a bully dark romance, and I really hope I get to it. I need to get to it because it's been on my TBR since I bought it at the beginning of this year. The next book on my TBR is, well, we might as well get to it, is Untouchable by Sam Mariano. This one I've heard about so many times and on so many different platforms, and everyone says Carter, who is the main character, so it's about Carter and Zoe, and Carter is a grade A bully, and he doesn't change apparently. Like, he stays a bully. It's not a matter of him falling for Zoe and changing and becoming this amazing man. No, he stays a bully. And so this should be interesting. I remember hearing, I think it was Jen at the Book Refuge. It was her. So she was in a podcast. There is a podcast. It centers around dark romance. Oh my god, I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, she was a guest on the podcast, and her and the host of the podcast, were talking about Untouchable. And I was like, okay, it's clearly a sign that I need to read this book because I keep hearing about it. And then when I went on Amazon and I was reading reviews on there as well, I was like, okay, clearly, like, these reviews are speaking to me. They're saying, girl, you need to read this book. So I'm going to read it, and I'm going to see what happens. And I'm really hoping that I read it ASAP. I might actually read it after I'm finished Jagged Line Paradise. I'm hoping to finish Jagged Line Paradise tonight, and then I might just get into Untouchable. But then I also have Black Sunshine, which is next on my TBR by Karina, Halle. So Black Sunshine is about, it's a paranormal romance. So it's about Lenore, who's 21, and she wants to celebrate her birthday and all this. And this is what I gather from the blurb. So she wants to celebrate her 21st birthday, but then she meets Solon, Salon, I want to say his name is, who is a like 100-year-old vampire, and he's out to get her. That's what I got from the blurb. And I want to read a really good paranormal romance that has to do with vampires, because you know what? Believe it or not, I kind of miss vampires. Yeah, I need to read vampire romances again. Vampire paranormal romance, especially after Don't Hex and Drive. Don't Hex and Drive was so good. Yeah, so I'm hoping Black Sunshine is that book. And I didn't even check if it was like, I think it's just a standalone, but I really hope she has more. I mean, this is as far as I've looked up. I mean, there could be more. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, let me know in the comments if Karina Halle has any more vampire paranormal romances, and I will gladly read it. And then finally, I have, so His Beauty by Jack Harbon. I've had on my Kindle for some time, and it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but like obviously, you know, not like Disney romance, not like Disney Beauty and the Beast, but you know, it's a retelling, okay? So Beauty and the Beast is, if you know me, Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney movie. I own the animated version. I have watched it a million times. I've watched the live action version a few times. It's like my thing. So His Beauty, when I read the reviews on Goodreads and I heard people talking about it on YouTube and on Instagram, I'm like, okay, I need to read this. And so it's sitting there, and I will get to it, and then I'll let you guys know how it was, because I'm pretty sure I'll like it. Anything Beauty and the Beast I'll love. Hopefully. Let me know if there's more though. So that's it for my April TBR. As usual, I will put all the titles of the books that I've mentioned in this video in my description. But let me know if any of you have read any of these books. So let me know in my comments. Or if you even have suggestions for books that I should read, also let me know in the comments below. And thanks.